And I'm live, and I'm live, and I'm live. I'm about to tag Lauren now. I hope my service don't act stupid. Low, come on in. Accept the request. Yeah. I'm waiting for Lauren to join us. Come on, Lo. Can't start without you. What do you mean you don't see it? Send request. All right, I sent it again. If something told me we should have did like a run through, unable to join. Girl. I sent it to you again.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, it wasn't like the first one's gonna pop up, and then I sent you a request. Hold on. There you go. Then I sent you a request, and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So you wanna make sure this is loud enough.
All right.
Should we wait till some more people get in?
Yeah, sure, we could. We definitely could.
We'll
wait. 1 minute.
Once.
See. We have a lot to talk about today, guys and girls.
See if I can drop this down a little bit more. It's not doing it for me. I am excited.
Oh, hello. Well, your camera's off this. No.
I'm trying to fix my little tripod.
Oh, okay.
We definitely should have did a little test before.
Why didn't we do that?
I don't know. Okay.
We should.
Try to look better than that.
We'll wait like another minute or so, and then we get started. Mr. Chad Harry, 3366. Hi.
Hey, Sonia.
I know. I saw her name. I was like, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to request to join us live to, spill your tea, vent to us about anything, please do. This is a topic for all of my Black girls out here in this world. So
maybe we should. Can we pin the topic at the bottom?
Yeah, let me pin it. If I could spell today, Jesus Christ.
Typical Papa fashion. He's gonna cut up in the background of this whole.
Who, Papa?
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Okay. I'm confused.
I wasn't even gonna try to tackle that one.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Tuning in. Hello.
Look what you did.
Okay. Let's get started. So let's start with a little introduction. My name is Shea. I am the founder, the CEO of Mommy & Co., where we share everything about parenthood, motherhood. We go through these awesome transitions within motherhood. So Mommy & Co. is all about supporting all of my parents, providing parental resources, advice, suggestions, and all of that good stuff. Also uplifting our children, right? Because it does take a village to raise these kids. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And then we have our host over here, Lauren.
Hey guys, I am Lauren. I do a lot. I am the founder and CEO of the Taylor Collective, where we do branding, creative marketing strategies, event production, and management. And I also have another business called Iconic by Lo. And that is all your eyewear needs, all your sunglasses, all your shades. And I'm a daughter of a Black mother.
Amen.
Okay, so we really have knowledge. I have 30 years of knowledge on this subject. So,
right.
you know, hopefully we speak about things that relates to everybody.
Yes, definitely. So, we decided that us coming on live today and hopefully future dates, we will definitely post about some more, but we decided to link up and be a kind of like a therapeutic platform for all of our Black and brown kids out there. At times when we reach our adult stages, we don't understand, why we may react the way we do, or why we may do certain things. And we kind of tied that to our childhood experiences, how we were raised, the things that we may have not spoken about inside the Black household, and we realize that it's kind of transitioning us into our adult life. So we want to tackle the little kid in us, so that we become better human beings, better adults, and we be a solid foundation for future generations. So we're about to break these generational curses on here. So if you agree with anything, don't be afraid to leave a comment. If you want to request to join us, please do, as we have a lot to talk about today. You got anything to say, Lo?
No, I agree with everything. I think we should just kick it off.
Kick it off. All right, cool. So
Yeah.
first, let's define, what is childhood trauma to you? What does that look like? What does that mean?
Okay. So to me, childhood trauma is something that it goes two ways, right? One way is you might necessarily not know what you experience and how it's going to affect you down the line until you get there. And then you have to look back and like, why do I react like this? Why do I do things like this? Why am I so closed off? And then it strikes you and you make that connection like, hey, because I wasn't receiving this as a child, or this is what I dealt with from my parents, or this is how I adapted to my experience as a child. And other form of trauma is the blatant in-your-face trauma that is obviously that you have anxiety about as an adult, that you constantly still stress about as an adult, that you still lose sleep over.
Yeah. Yeah. So how I relate my trauma, well, childhood trauma, is the things that I'm currently still struggling with. Even if it happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago, the Bible says you should forgive and forget, right? But a part of me, I don't know if it's an Aquarius thing. Maybe, I don't know. We're both Aquariuses, so we might have to type of vibe, but it's hard for me. I'm definitely not forgetting certain things are traumatic, right? But when it comes to the forgiveness aspect of it, it's hard for me to reach that level of maturity. So when I hear childhood trauma, I think of the things that, or like the situations that had occurred in my younger years where I'm still trying to forgive and forget.
Mm-hmm.
Or they say you should forgive and not forget, right? I forgot what they
Yeah.
said. But yeah.
Sonia said, don't forget.
Yo, I don't forget. Oh, yo, I may forget some things, but like those things, I'm not forgetting. And I equate that to, okay, because I'm not forgetting this or I'm not forgiving this person for doing this to me, I cannot take like the next step into peace.
Yeah.
Or not take the next step into like whatever God has planned for me next. And I'm still holding on to the past.
And it's also harder when this trauma was experienced by people you love. You know what I'm saying? So that's harder to forgive and forget when it's like, this is somebody that was supposed to protect me from that trauma and instead dished it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it gets tricky. You know, it's because it's like, I love you, but you put me through some shit, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, mentioning that, I want to let's jump into like the nitty gritty, right? You posted a video, you shared the video with me as well. You posted a video in your story about a Black female who is questioning um her mother's motives, right? Or her mother's love, or her mother's, what's that word I'm looking for? Like acceptance, I guess.
Yeah.
And give us the rundown of the video, like what transpired, and how you feel like you related to that person in the video, and then I'll go next.
Okay, so she basically said she loves her mother to death. Now in her case, she was the only girl and her mother had boys too, but she felt like her mother catered to the boys. And with her, it was very like tough love, for lack of a better word. It was like she experienced trauma at the hands of her mother. Like her clothes were cut up, her things were thrown out, she was getting kicked out of the house. But on the other hand, her brothers could do no wrong. And now in the flip side, it's like now she's older and she found her peace and kind of was able to escape that traumatic household. And now it's like she's being dragged back into it because of the fact that her mom relies on her. So now she's the dependable one. But it's like, all right, you treated me like shit. And now you need me, you know, but we're your sons that you cater to, and you were that great mom and that great person to. Why don't you call them? Why is it like now I'm the one that you depend on? Now I don't have any brothers and sisters. I'm an only child. But I could still relate to it off the fact that it's like, you know, me and my mother, maybe we didn't have the best relationship, and I've experienced things like that, like my things being thrown out, me getting kicked out, us always being more of like at odds more than we were good. And it's like, okay, I love you, but now it's time to like build that relationship, or now when I'm yearning for that best friend relationship with my mom, I can't bring myself to do it. It's always like a wall that's constantly up. Like I want to do it. I pray for patience with her. I pray that we will get to that relationship someday, but because I can't forget, I forgave, but I can't forget some of my best moments with my mom, but also some of my worst moments. It's like, girl, like, give me a minute. I'm gonna try. Like I'm trying, but I can't jump in and just be like, okay, because when I was that person, it was like, we're good until you decided we're not. And now we're enemies again, you know? And then it's like, okay, well, she wants to be good with me again. So we're good. We're cool. We're besties. And then it's like, no, now it's not. So that's a trust thing with me. I don't like flip-flopping. I don't like not being able to read people. And I think that stems from that trauma from growing up with that as a child. Now, you have a brother. So how did that video relate to you?
Because my brother's going to go back and watch this and be like, but honestly, I came to a point in my life where I'm choosing to accept peace over turmoil.
Okay.
Words. So with that video, when I watched that video, I was like, she's really hitting on I feel like a lot of us Black girls we go through with our moms, right? I feel like growing up, I did not have that close relationship with my mom. There were so many things thank you. There are so many things that I wish I could have went to my mom about. I could have talked to my mom about. But because I felt like I wouldn't receive the response or the reaction that I needed in that moment, I didn't. So a lot of things or a lot of experiences I had growing up, I had to like really learn on my own because that conversation wasn't had, or I had to rely on like my friends, but your friends are the same age as you are, right? So what kind of experience they have to be giving you advice, right? So I I ended up in a lot of things because that connection I had with my mom wasn't really there. On the other hand, though, I felt like in my earlier years, I felt like my brother could do no wrong. I felt like my parents pushed me to the point where I needed to be this independent person, where I had to like do everything on my own, learn things, on my own. Whereas my brother kind of like, I don't want to say slacked off, but it was more so like, it's your brother, like it's okay. I remember this one time, just had like a flashback. This one time I remember, my mother and my mother and my brother were sitting in the living room, and there were dishes in the sink. And of course, like I was raised on like women doing the chores in the house, so like cleaning and laundry and all that stuff. So there were dishes in the sink, and I'm upstairs in my room. My mom called me from upstairs in my room to tell me to come downstairs to wash the dishes, right? Meanwhile, you have
your son sitting right there.
I'm the baby, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm the kid in the house. And like meanwhile, you have this grown boy sitting next to you. It's like you could have easily told him to do it, but you went out of your way to literally yell my name because I'm upstairs. I'm on the top floor of the house. You're downstairs, so you had to yell for me to to hear you, to tell me to come downstairs and wash the dishes. And of course that's just like minor, right? Really, really on the spectrum, low end of the spectrum, but it was just certain things, and that's something else I could never forget because it happened constantly where it became a traumatic thing with me. Whereas like now as an adult, I ain't washing no dishes. I'm sorry. I just got nails done. I'm gonna throw these dishes in the dishwasher, like, or Jelani gonna have to do them because I ain't washing dishes, laundry, and clean because like I have like mild case of OCD, but dishes I'm not doing. So, and that really stems from like the different things that I experienced growing up, as far as like being the only girl and being the daughter to this, Black woman. And if you know mom, she's very like headstrong. Like I think I've witnessed my mom crying maybe like twice in my life, and I'm pushing 30. Like I've never really seen that kind of like affectionate kind of not even affectionate, but like softer side to her. I've always gotten the aggressive, you need to be like this type of side of her. So in a way, it did mold me into the woman I am now because we need to be like ferocious in this world. But I do remember those little things that happened in my past to like how it's transitioning and becoming really, really prevalent in my adult life.
And that's funny how you said that made you headstrong. Like, I'm a daddy's girl through and through. And I attribute my pit bull likeness, like my ferociousness, my ability to be like, no, this
No.
needs to be like that, and speaking up to myself for my dad, like to my dad. But also in the back of my mind, my mom is so over the top and dramatic and telenovela, like everything is such a scene. And I think that's also why I'm subconsciously just like, no, business, 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 you know, emotions later, you know, because I've seen emotions get the best of somebody and then everything else falls by the wayside.
Right.
And that's also like, that's why, you know, now, like in the relationship I am in, it had to be somebody that I have already built that relationship with. It had to be somebody that's already known me through and through as that best friend first, because it's hard getting, like, you can ask people that I talk to, it's very hard to get into my safe space. It's very Fort Knox like, and I'm very much nonchalant and very much unbothered and unaffected by things that people do, because it's like I literally had to be that way. Like, because if I was that soft person, I probably would have crumbled by now.
No,
I probably wouldn't have been like able to accomplish the things that I've accomplished or be the woman that I am today. Or like, you know, I probably would have literally just been a mess, a blob of emotions. And, you know, that's a strength and it's also a weakness too, because sometimes it's like when I do get into an argument in my relationship, I'm like, you know,
like you could go about your
but that's why I'm like, it's such a blessing, because if he wasn't my best friend first, it wouldn't be okay, you know what I'm saying? But because I value that friendship so much prior to the relationship, I'm able to do that. But with other people, it's really hard. It's really hard. Like, as open as I seem, I'm very closed off. Like, there's people that have known me my whole entire life that still don't know things about me. You know, I have gone through the darkest moments in my life where my best friends have not even known what was going on. I'm good. You know, the strong friend. You know?
And I think too, just talking about like this childhood trauma, like that kind of those experiences sparked how can I say this? That kind of like beast mode in us, because I'm exactly the same way. We were talking about it earlier too, where every single negative or traumatic experience we've ever been through, right after that, we accomplished something major. Like every time I got, I broke up with somebody, or I was hurt, or I was broke, like no money in the bank, gotta pay rent next week. And like a lot of traumatic experiences we've had, we found a way to flip it and turn it into something like meaningful and positive. Look at us now. Like it takes like a really strong-minded person to honestly like elevate from the different experiences that we faced and we went through. And girl, I'm proud of you. Like,
thank you. I'm proud of you too, girl. And I have a question to kind of piggyback off of that. Like, with all that you accomplished, do you feel like your mom acknowledges it and appreciates it and is proud of you as the woman you are today?
I hope I don't cry. Jeez. And I'm not a crier, guys. Just let you know.
We're digging deep. This is real, you know, real raw emotions.
a part of me wants to say, yeah, she recognizes it, because there are times where I could literally be in my, like, she knows me, right? My mom knows me, um, everything, right? She knows everything about me. So she knows when I'm frustrated. She knows when I'm like in my head and like, going through the motions with certain things. Like she just knows certain things about me, like my little trigger points. So there are times where my mom will tell me like, yo, like you're doing a lot. You should chill out, blah 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 blah. Especially when we're planning this last event. She was like, yo, you're here, you're doing this, you're doing that. Like you need to take a break. um Even with me having my daughter, it's so crazy because now I'm in this new phase in my life where I rely on my mom heavily right now. And especially with having a child, um and she would tell me like, yo, like you need to take a nap. So give me Zara, and you need to relax. You need some rest. So there are points where I do feel like she does notice that in me, but there are moments where she may say certain things, or like my mom is kind of like passive aggressive too. So she may do things where I'm like, you you don't know what I'm struggling. You don't know what I'm battling right now. Like, I'm the type of person that lives in my head. Like, me, you could literally be sitting face to face, having a full blown conversation, and I'm in my head about, yo, I got this, I got that, plan this, I got to write these ideas down, and I'm still having a conversation with you, but I'm in my head like fully, because it's like so many things we got to do. So there's times where she does do certain things and say certain things where it's like, do you not know? I'm like,
that's literally the face to like it's the comments for me. That's
yes,
exactly it.
yes. It's like, it gets me because it's like, it's really the little things that pisses me off in my life that will like have me like blow up. Like big things I could handle. Small things, when like small things aren't supposed to be happening and didn't go as planned, I would like have like an anxiety attack. And I think it does come from like how myself and my parents, how we will converse, because that's exactly what they are. The small things, like you don't notice that, I did this, I did this, and you notice that one thing
I told you.
I didn't do.
What did I say to you earlier? I said my parents used to act like I sold crack in the 80s. Girl, they acted like I was Franklin Saint at one point, and I'm like, I'm checking all of y'all boxes, all of your requirements. What else can I do?
Right.
Like, of course I'm gonna have an attitude sometimes. Y'all drive me crazy. At that point, I'm a teenager. You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
Of course, like, but I get good grades. I didn't, have any kids. I went to college. Like, now I'm in grad school. What else do you want? It was always something else. And like, I asked you that question because I really go back and forth on whether she's actually proud of me. Like, because on one hand, it's like, oh, I'm proud of you, you're doing this. And then on the other hand, like you said, it's the little comments. It's, oh, well, you're always doing a photo shoot, or you're always doing this, or you're always working, and I don't understand this. And it's like, well, I'm doing this so I can be good down the line later. I understand, like I'm tired. You don't think I'm tired? I'm tired. I live my life on a schedule. Literally. I work 9 to 5. After that, I have meetings with clients. I have iconic stuff that I need to do. I have Taylor Collective stuff that I need to do. And I work on Sundays. I'm tired. It's natural to be tired. But at the same time, like, you should be proud of the hustler that I became.
Amen.
You understand? Like, because I could have been that person that sits there and tries to still leech off of my parents. But you should be proud of this person that I am now. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, you're going to burn yourself out one day. oh, I'm gonna tell you I told you so. Like, okay, let me burn myself out when I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
And then I can go to sleep and have my money work for me. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see it. That's how I see it. So it's like, on one hand, it'd be like, oh yeah, I'm proud of you, but it's always a but. And with me, it's like, if I'm gonna give you a compliment, there's gonna be no stipulations or contingencies around that compliment.
Right.
It's a compliment straight out. Like, you're working hard, I'm proud of you. That's all. It shouldn't be you're working hard, I'm proud of you, but you need to drop some things because eventually it's like, or what really bothered me was, well, everything seems kind of stagnant right now. To you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yo.
To you.
Yo.
One, both of my businesses are in year one. You know what I'm saying? And I've had clients and I've had movement and I've made money. So to you, just because I'm not at that point where I share everything with you, it's like, oh, it seems stagnant. And it's to the point where it's like, I hate to say it, but like, I feel like it's a lot of pettiness and a lot of cattiness sometimes. And I don't understand why that is the dynamic sometimes in Black mothers and Black daughter relationships, because like, when I went to a pop-up shop, my first pop-up shop, I made $1,000. I felt like I couldn't come and tell her that I made the $1,000 because it would have been like, oh, remember back in 2012 when you borrowed $100 from me, or you borrowed $10 from me? Oh, but you got $1,000 and you can't buy your mother a cup of coffee. Things like that. Like, so when I came home, yeah, I made like 300. You know, like, I could call my father. My father's very much a numbers person, so I could call my father, like, listen, I put this much into it, and I made almost like 90% return on my investment. Yeah. And he's like, good job. But also with him, he's not really like a cheerleader. So he's like, good job. Okay, so the next one, you're going to have to make this. Like, all right, let me bask in my moment for a second, you know? So it's very much like pressure and very much anxiety to have her specifically see that I don't do this for anything. Like, yes, certain aspects of what I do is fun, but I'm not a time waster. I value my time. I value my personal time. I wish I could, I wish I can have a week of pure sleep, but I like money and I want to be somebody. And in order to be somebody, and I don't want to work for anybody anymore. I want to drop my 2 weeks notice and never look back. Okay.
2 weeks notice. I ain't giving no 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
Listen, never look back.
Listen, I'm giving today. Bye. I'm not giving no 2 weeks.
I don't want to have to return to the ghetto that is corporate America. Okay. The ghetto that is corporate America. So it's like, but you know, also our parents are from a different generation. So it's like entrepreneurship and doing things like that, they don't really see it. My dad pressures entrepreneurship now only because he's been in the workforce for decades, you know. But he's very much, everything you do needs to have a return. Like, and I'm like, everything I do is not going to have an immediate tangible return. But I can be doing something, and even though I'm getting paid little, I'm getting contacts, I'm networking. Now I have venue contacts. Now I have people, you know, people that I can go to when I have my large event productions. Like, I can bring people in and make a creative collaboration, you know, like things like that. And they don't really understand that. So.
And you hit it right on the head. Like, they're from a different generation. I remember starting my very first business, which is Elite Sports Performance. Like, if you guys don't know, like, I used to play ball heavily every single day. Like, I stopped because it was just like a lot was going on at that time where I stopped, and we'll get into that later on. But sports was just my life. Like, I can literally be home with my father all day watching sports. Like, that was just me. Like, going to play ball, whatever, going to play Pokemon. Um, I used to like have games literally like every other day. If I wasn't at a game, I was in practice. So with all of my experience in sports, I decided, yo, I could make or start a business from that. Like, you don't necessarily need to have a degree. Experience and your contacts is what you really know to make it big. So I decided I started it behind my parents' back. I'm gonna say that. Because I felt like they wouldn't understand. I was like, I want to say maybe like 19, and I literally had to figure everything out. Like, what's an LLC? What's a corporation? What's the difference between tax write-offs? Everything. And I remember when I literally have the documents in my hand that this is a corporation, this is my brand, this is my business. I brought it to my dad first, and he was like, "Oh, you did all of this, and you didn't fill me in. So why are you bringing it to me now?" And it's like, sir,
because you should be proud of me that I did it by myself, and now I'm presenting the final product to you.
I'm like, sir, did you just not hear my whole spiel? Like, I did all of this. I did the research. And mind you, I'm like 19. 19. I'm really thinking like that was 11 years ago. Damn, 10 years ago.
Girl, 19 was longer for me, but we're not going to talk on it.
Yo, like, and now that I'm in my, later 20s and I'm looking back at it, and it's like, and this is why I move the way I do. This is why I'm not going to give you step by step of what I'm doing because of those type of remarks. I know that I just how I am and how I move, and just certain things just don't need to be said, especially when I need to go out into the world and present myself in a certain way. It's like, come on. I'm 19 and I started a business. Like, what? Like, imagine if I had like that push and that drive at 19, where elite sports performance would have been at this point. Yeah. Granted, I still have clientele. Like, I still have trainers that I work with, especially trainers that work with Olympic athletes, and I work with USA basketball. So like, I did have experience under my belt, but it's like, imagine where I've been if I felt supported.
And I think that's a good segue to go into like being hyper independent.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because we both said that we feel like because of past experiences, we're now like super hyper independent, and it's very hard to ask for help. With me, it's like, if I don't think you're gonna do it right, one, it's hard for me to ask for help. Two, if I bite the bullet and I ask for help and it's not done right, I'm never gonna ask you for help again, right? And then it's gonna be like, you're not gonna want to help me again, because I'm gonna be like, what is that? And it's also very hard, like, because we're super independent. It's like, I personally learned at a younger age, like, my parents supported me through college, right?
Right.
Very grateful. I
Good.
don't have any student loans from undergrad. Forever be grateful, especially because NYU right now is ghetto. The amount that I owe back to NYU is disgusting.
Yo.
But at the same time, as soon as I got that degree, it was like, figure it out. I came back to New York, and it was like, I know that if I asked for $5, it was going to be held over my head. So what can I do, right? Okay, I came back to New York. I worked 3 jobs. I didn't have any time for myself, but at least I could support myself. And I couldn't, because I couldn't swallow my pride enough to, it wasn't going to be like a one-time lecture. It was going to be a reoccurring thing. Like, I constantly ask for $10,000 every Tuesday. Like, it's that dramatic, so it's like, I'm the type of person that I will do everything on myself. And plus, I don't ever like people that are able to hold something over me, right? So when I moved back, me and my mom butted heads again. We're very good in separate places. We're in separate states. Very lovely connection, far away. But when we moved back and I was back in her house, which was not the plan for me because I already knew. It was like we bumped heads so much. She was like, get out. And it didn't even scare me at that point. It was just like, okay, so now I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna work this job, and I'm gonna go hard at applying for a job in my career field because you told me I had till September to get out. I moved out in July. Mm-hmm. Okay? I'm one-upping you because I don't ever want to feel like that's something that you're going to hold over my head and like you're giving, and I'm like, as a parent, you should want to make sure your child is good. But it was like, no, she said, get out. It was very much like, when you get in arguments with people and they say things that they don't mean, I take it to heart. Yeah. Because I feel like that was really on your heart, right? Yeah. You don't want me here. I'm not going to be here. Yeah. I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to be good. Because 9 times out of 10, growing up, I had to figure it out when my mom was going through her things. I had to figure it out and I turned out fine. So you're kicking me out. I'm going to figure it out. And what ended up happening was I found a place. I had my dad come check it out, and poor Timothy, he be in the middle of life. He be in the middle of both ends. Just 2 Aquarius females and just 1 male. He's been through it. I had him come and check out the place. I was excited. Another time where I'm excited, I did it on my own. I found the place. We put down the money. Like, my dad checked it out. Everything looks good. I did something good, and I'm taking a step to advance myself, right? Came back to the house. My dad's like, come on, Leslie, let's go out. Let's celebrate. Da-da-da. Don't talk to me. Miss Ma'am, you kicked me out. So it's like things like that. It's just like, but you kicked me out because you felt like you were doing too much. Were giving me a roof over my head, right? So I, being the adult that I was and being hyper independent, I'm going to figure it out. And I did. Mm-hmm. And I beat your timeline. Yeah. And it was like, don't talk to me. Like, she refused to celebrate. And it's like, okay, so I cannot win doing this and I can't win doing that. So what can I win with, And it got to a point I would never forget. You move out, you don't necessarily have all the fun. That's back when I had just started my corporate job. And, they start you out at $30,000. Mm-hmm. $30,000, and I got commission on, like, some accounts. But commission was, like, something weird, like every other check or whatever. So I'm thinking, like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get it done. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to get it done. Mm-hmm. But I had bare minimum in my account. I was living paycheck to paycheck, right? And my uncle, my dad's twin, they're completely separate people. My uncle just loves to give. My dad is like, you need to work for it and you need to, So my uncle was like, hey, Easy, you moved out? I'm going to buy all your furniture. Here's the money. Send it to your account. Cool. Love him to death. Thank you. Because I was supposed to get his couch and he didn't feel like bringing it from Jersey. So he was just like, here's the money. Buy a couch, buy a TV, whatever you need. Cool. I hate Walmart at that time. Double charged me, right? So they took all the money out of my account. And my whole thing with moving out is I never wanted to have the landlord wait for my money. Right. And so I was like freaking out. Like, I don't get paid for this. I don't have anything. Like, I don't have to eat. I'm fine. Like, as long as my responsibility is taken care of. And I had to go to my parents. And child, like, I can be a billionaire and that story will still be brought up. Remember that time I had to pay for your rent? Yeah, but I paid you back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, things happen. Yeah. Nobody is perfect. Things happen. But I shouldn't be so scared to ask for help from anyone, because how when I ask for help from the people who are supposed to help me in situations like that, it's always a negative thing. Like, I did something totally wrong. I'm on the wrong path, and this is why I'm in these situations I'm in. So now it's like, I can be off of 15 seconds of sleep. I'm going to do it myself, and I'm going to get it done. It's very little that I delegate. And then when I do delegate, it's only to people like I trust with the utmost, like, respect. And like, I say it all the time. My god sister, I love her to death. I trust her with everything because she is the only person that I can give an idea to and give a vision to, and I know it will be executed exactly how I would do it. You know, and that's very rare for me. And I know she doesn't count favors or like, oh, I did this for you, now you got to do this for me, you know?
I want to say that's a fear of mine. And I guess it's a issue too. And that's part of the reason why, like, I don't ask people for anything. I think, okay, so starting out with business, right? I've learned, I went to St. John's for business. And the first thing they teach you is, like, you cannot do everything by yourself. Like, you need to build a team, a solid team around you. And it took me years, like till now that I'm starting Mommy and Co, where now I have people on my team that can help and support me. Whereas my other businesses is like, I couldn't trust anybody, go to anybody and say, I need this done about, like, I couldn't. The mere thought of me having to ask somebody, hey, I need you to do this by this date, frightens me. Because it's like, all right, what do I got to do in return for you to get that done? You know what I mean? Whereas, like, yo, this and this and this is going to happen. I need this done, and I can promise you this, right? I'm just, like, certain with who I am and what I can bring to the table. And it's like, that stemmed from somewhere, right? Me just having the, even like me in my relationship, and it causes so much argument. Because he would say, like, babe, like, all you gotta do is ask me. Because I would say things and do things in a really passive aggressive way. Not my intention. That's just how I've learned to communicate with people. Where it's like, I know it pisses them off. Like, I'm mad at myself to even having to, like, think about, I need to ask you for this. But it causes, like, so many arguments because he would say, like, yo, all you had to say was, yo, babe, like, I need this, and I will do it for you. And I had to tell him, like, that's not how I was raised. Like, like, if I can't do it on my own, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's really, really hard for me to ask anybody for anything. And even now, it's like, when I do, I feel like I have to go above and beyond to repay them back so that they don't hold that over me. Like,
you know what's funny?
Today,
your brother does the same thing. That's funny. So that's something, that's how y'all were raised, because your brother does the same thing. And I'd be like, well, if he did this for you, why are you doing this, that, and that? Like, just do that. No. You don't have to do all of that. Like,
nah, bro.
And it's like, no, but I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do that. And you're killing yourself for what?
It's hard. And I think it's because, like, us as kids, too, there's nothing in this world that we want more than to make sure, like, our parents are proud of us. They're happy for us, right? And I just remember the feeling growing up where it was like, no matter what I did, it didn't seem like it was good enough for them. You know what I mean? So it was like, I feel like I had to, and mind you, I wasn't an A scholar type of student. I wasn't a scholar student, period. Like, if I was playing basketball, like I would not be going to school. Like I really don't know what I would be doing in my life. Honestly, I was not a scholar type of person, and I would. And it's not like I didn't try. Like I studied crazy, but I just couldn't bring like A's home. I bring home like a B minus, B plus, but like that was because like I was going through so many other things as well that I couldn't really verbally express. But I felt like, okay, so I'm not bringing in the grades that you want me to do, so I gotta make it up somewhere else. So what else? Basketball, I was a top athlete for years. Um, and even if you wanted me to do this around the house, do that, do that, do that. It's only so much an 11-year-old could do. Like,
Yeah.
So I think that definitely transitions into my relationship now, where it's like even not even in like my relationship with Jelani, but like friendships as well. Even if we're not friends, co-workers, whatever. Anytime my boss asks me, "Hey, can you do X, Y, and Z?" Okay, I'm gonna do A, B, C, D, E. I will go through.
Girl, you good? I told you. You know how I feel about corporate America. It's the ghetto that I don't want to return to. Okay, so my boss asked me to do X, Y, and Z. X, Y, and Z will get done, but don't ask me for anything else. don't expect me to do A, B, and C and all of that. No, you ask for X, Y, and Z. That's what you pay me for. That's what you're getting. Okay.
I don't know what it is. I just feel like I need to. I have to. Just so you know, at the end of the day, I'm well overqualified for anything you bring to the table.
Going back to like being a Black daughter of a Black mother, and now you also having a Black daughter, what are some things that you feel like you experience with your relationship with your mother that you're definitely not going to pass down in the relationship with your daughter? And then also, second part of that question is, do you ever fear that like how your mother unintentionally like acted towards you is going to be the same when your daughter grows up with her relationship with her grandma?
Okay. Um so many people don't know this about me. Literally the first month or 2 months that after I brought Zara home, I literally cried every single night. And it was me crying when I was like praying at night to, talking to God, making sure like he protects my kids and make sure like, they don't have to suffer and go through the different things that I may have suffered through, or even like her father had to suffer through with his relationship with his parents. Literally cried every single night. And that's one thing. When I found out I was having a girl, I like made sure, like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't ever want my daughter feeling like she can't come to me for anything. Like me, her, we're going to establish that, of course, I'm your mom, you're my daughter. Like there's certain things you're going to have to do, because I'm your parent. But I want you to know, like, you can always confide in me about anything. When I mean anything, come to me about anything and everything. Because there's no friends you have. There's nobody else in this world that's going to have your back the way your parents do, especially your mom. Like, I'm going to go to the end of this earth to make sure, like, you're straight, regardless of the facts. One thing that I could remember just the thought process of me just raising a daughter was like, I remember growing up, I felt like sometimes when I was being punished, it was because I may have inconvenienced my parents at some point, right? Not because of the act I may have done, but because I may have inconvenienced you, right? So let's say, for example, let's say school called out and you have to come pick me up instead of me having to go on the bus. You have to make it work, blah, 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 blah. Like, I felt like I was always being punished because I put you out of your way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So with me, with my daughter, it's like, you're not going to experience that. Like, I want you to know if you're in any kind of situation, any kind of trouble, any kind of anything, like, call your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care where I'm at, call me. I'm going to answer. Or text me. I'm going to answer. Without a doubt. I'm going to drop everything. I don't care if I'm in the middle of a presentation, middle of class, whatever I'm doing, I'm dropping everything I have to do. And I'm not holding that over you. You know what I mean? Like, I am your mother. Like, you didn't ask to come into this world. Like, I brought you into this world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I would never, ever punish her for being a kid.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, children go through so many different things. Like, they have, you know, especially when they go through puberty, right? Like, it's like their friends are going, this set of friends is doing this, that set of friends is doing, like, they're trying to figure out themselves. So they're going to do things that, you know, you may not totally agree with, but that's all a part of growing up. You know what I mean? So the relationship with my daughter, I know it's going to be totally different. Because we are going to have that open line of communication, where I felt like I didn't have that with my mom. Now that I'm older, I kind of do that in a sense, but I have to like do like a whole disclaimer before I about certain things. So yeah. I don't even know what was your next question. What was your next question?
So my next question, which is probably like not even going to be the case, because I feel like grandparents with their grandchildren are totally different than how they were with their own children. But do you ever fear like it's a fear of mine. That's the only reason why I'm asking you, is because I'm like, if I do have a daughter, is she going to experience what I experienced, like the pettiness and the passive aggressive at the hands of her grandma? You know?
She's not. And I'm noticing that now too, where it's like your parents are at a point in their life where they're like, I ain't gotta raise no kids. I ain't gotta worry about X, Y, and Z. At the end of the day, like, that's your child.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice about my mom, like, she's super laid back with certain things. Right? There's certain things she does do and say that just like irritate my soul, but I know where it's stemming from. But with her and my daughter, like, they're inseparable. Like, my child loves her, like, and I wouldn't want anyone else. That wasn't okay. With the whole backstory with that, like, me going back out to work, you know, my mom was trying to figure out, like, hey, look, are you gonna find, like, you know, a babysitter, daycare, whatever? And I'm like, with Corona and all this other stuff, like, I don't know how I feel about people watching my kids right now. So it's like, she's like, yo, all right, I'll stay home with her. Like, I'll watch her, whatever. And there's no one else in this world that I would pick. And I feel truly, truly like certain, like, my child will be like good if it wasn't my mom. I wouldn't ask for. I wouldn't want anyone else besides my mom.
Now, do you feel like okay, so as I became an adult, I was more able to forgive the past because I realized that my mom is human. You know what I'm saying? My mom is a human being. Human beings are not perfect. Even though sometimes I'm like, girl, you ain't have to do that. But, you know, sometimes we all react off of pure emotion and we make mistakes. We're human. Like, I've made the same mistakes, probably worse sometimes, but it's just like, I was only able to see that now. When you're a little kid and this is your role model and this is your idol, and it's like, well, what? You know, what's going on? Like, you supposed, girl, like, we supposed to be here.
Right.
So, but do you feel like now as an adult and as a parent, you can understand your mom a little bit more in her decisions?